Reddit did to do and welcome into more important issues. It is Wednesday, April 29th. April's coming to a close with some rain, of course. We couldn't make it out of this month that easy.
No.
Everything's starting to kind of like look up. We've had a good time. We've gotten so we've had several ways to like break through with sports lately. We had the draft.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Dance is on. We'll actually talk about The Last Dance today, too. Because we really haven't officially. I think we've like briefly discussed it.
Yeah.
But we haven't like officially gone over it.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that. And then obviously Moose, Tennessee, Derek Ansley, Jeremy Pruitt. Who else am I leaving out?
T. Martin, Joe Osvet. I mean, we could do the whole freaking staff.
Yeah, recruiting their tails off. Someone's going to steal this idea. But if it happens and it blows up, it's fine. But I'm thinking a picture of a moose with either all of the recruits that have committed lately riding its back or the coaching staff.
Or what if they're on the actual
everyone's sitting
on the rack.
That would be great. Somebody make that happen. I don't have the artistic ability to do it. If you want to do it for me and then allow me to tweet that out, that would be even better.
Yeah, you're probably not getting off that easy. Just
probably,
like the month of May, you're not getting off that easy.
I'm probably not. Before we jump into the entire show, I do want to mention some good news because I don't know if we'll have time to talk about it. Daniel Batuli got signed by the LA Rams. I almost messed up. LA Chargers, LA Rams, LA Raiders, LA whatever.
St. Louis Rams.
St. Louis Rams. So many different team names now. But he was signed as an undrafted free agent, I guess, after all the medical stuff cleared. So good for him. It's big time.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate you guys jumping in. We are going to have a great show. We are talking about the hat trick has been complete. And from everything I can tell, it looks like Brian Niedermeyer is going for his second hat trick.
He wants
That's what it looks like.
I like it.
So I think we were right. We were on the good end of him not knowing what a hat trick was. It was, I think he thinks it's more than 3. So we're good. We're in good standing.
I think it's. I think Tennessee definitely invested in Zoom like that. Yeah, that's for sure.
And we're going to talk about that too. As we're about to jump into the show, we're talking about the hat trick that we completed, and then we're going to have Matt Ray of Vol Recruiting Reports on to talk. I'm sure he has some updates for us and what Tennessee and how Tennessee's adapted.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to do that. We're doing the 98 rewatch. It's just UAB homecoming, but a fairly interesting game. At least Tennessee scored a lot of points.
Yeah.
If you're not going to play an interesting opponent, just make sure you go score a lot of points, and you'll keep us in there. Then we're also going to talk about The Last Dance, and then we've got some segments for you guys, some exciting segments that I am ready to get into. Landon's going to tell us about a great giveaway that you guys have a chance to enter. Everybody's got a chance to win.
So we have a $25 gift certificate to Hound Dogs giveaway. We'll tell you at the end of the show how you can redeem that. But you have a week to redeem it. So if we call your name, you have a week. So just stay tuned for that. Go check out our. They go and create an account. Create a profile on volunteerroadshow.com. That'll give you all our free content. It'll give you access to our shows and different stuff like that. So go sign up for that. That'll enter you into the drawing each episode for the $25 gift certificate. So go check out our sponsors at Hound Dogs, Tennessee Tap House, Bet Now, and Commercial Bank. I actually want to tell you guys about Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank, and they're a leading financial institution with the services, capabilities, and resources of regional and national banks. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning your next vacation, Commercial Bank is with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Life made better. Visit cbtn.com to learn more and find a branch near you. Guys, go check out the official bank of more important issues, Commercial Bank.
Do it. Any financial needs, they'll get you taken care of. You good? Am I free? Am I free to go?
I think we need to tell them what they need to do with the show right now.
Yes.
And then
like it. If you're on Facebook, like it, share it. If you're on Twitter, like it, retweet it. Follow us. Follow Volunteer Roadshow on Facebook. Like our page, More Important Issues. Like Volunteer Roadshow. I see some super likes rolling in. Keep hitting those. I don't know who that is. Keep doing that. YouTube, like, subscribe, share this, guys. We appreciate you guys hopping on. We're excited to talk about Tennessee's currently ranked. I need to mention currently ranked because I think it could move up. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Number 5 in the nation. Recruiting class so far. Number 2 in the SEC. I know it's early. I realize it's early. But we're still going to celebrate that, especially because of the commitments recently that started with defensive end Dylan Brooks. Then second corner Kamara Wilcoxon got in on the action. And the official hat trick, I guess, because that was what was mentioned. So I'm going to call it the official hat trick, was concluded with the 4-star commitment from Georgia, Julian Nixon, wide receiver.
Yeah, big wide receiver.
Big wide receiver. Goes up. He uses his size, too.
Yeah.
Well.
6'4", 220. He's listed at 6'3", 230, but I think he's actually 6'4", 220. So that's a frame.
Right.
I mean, that's a frame of a freaking truck.
I hate to get away from Julian Nixon specifically, and we're going to get Matt Ray's thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on it. How do you think Tennessee's is it just players buying in and recruiting too? Why is it happening not only in this social distancing period where they can't go and recruit like normal? Mm-hmm. It's happening at a rapid pace, more rapid than it normally would happen, and we've completely changed how we've had to do things, obviously.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just the guys Tennessee has on staff. Mm-hmm. You got some young stars with Derek Ansley, Niedermeyer, Shelton Felton. Those guys can relate to these recruits. And I also feel like recruiting is contagious.
Right.
So you get that first one locked down, you get guys that want to play with each other. It turns into a snowball effect.
Right.
So I kind of think that's where Tennessee's at now. I think we needed some momentum in recruiting, and we got a whole lot of it here recently.
Yeah, somehow it picked up steam.
Yeah.
Excited to talk about how exactly, or at least insight, I guess, into how we did that, and how Tennessee continues to do that. It's definitely, if we can somehow top, which I don't know, how far do we move if we get a 4-star commitment tomorrow or this week? How far up do you see us moving?
I see us, if we lock down who everybody's kind of hinting at who we're getting, and that's 5-star outside linebacker Terrence Lewis. That can move us into the top.
You could
3?
seriously. I was about to say you could seriously be looking at the top 3.
I think you definitely jump Clemson.
I was about to say maybe just jump one spot, and that's still. And what sucks is not only do recruiting rankings not matter in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, it's only April, May.
Yeah.
And so it's you got to, of course, lock these guys down. Seems like you've got a lot of the guys in this class, though. It sounds like they're not going anywhere. Now, still want to see not only ink to paper. Nowadays, I want to see them on campus before I even count them in. But regardless, especially right now, we're craving anything. This is a big deal. Especially, it's a big deal any year, but it's a really big deal this year because of how it's happened and that we're craving just any kind of football. I know this isn't playing football, but at least
it gives us something to talk about. And Tennessee was able to jump from, I think we mentioned it on the last show, how much we were able to jump with just those 2 commitments. We went from number 17 to the number 5 recruiting class in less than 48 hours.
Right. And I don't think it's just the fans that it's creating stuff to talk about, but also other recruits.
Yeah.
And then our players too, but we're really the only program being talked about right now.
Yeah, we have all the momentum, just like Ohio State had it. I think it was last month. They just kept getting recruit after recruit. I mean, they have 17 right now.
Right.
So catching them is going to be tough, but you could definitely see yourself right up there with North Carolina at the number 2 spot.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see.
Because you're trending with a bunch of blue chippers like Terrence Lewis, like we mentioned, Cody Brown, the 4-star running back out of Parkview, in Lilburn, Georgia. Then Caden Salter is supposed to announce his commitment on May 10th. It's between us and Auburn.
And did he get a crystal ball for us recently?
Yeah, he's got a couple.
Okay.
I think he's 80% Tennessee right now, so gotcha. 8. I think he has 8 crystal balls to Tennessee right now. So, yeah, 4-star quarterback, 4-star running back, and then a 4-star or a 5-star outside linebacker. That's going to move you well into right there with North Carolina.
Right.
Probably past them. So you probably have
if you get all 3 of those, you're moving past them.
Yeah, you probably have the number 2 recruiting class in the country.
Right. That's big time. That's big time. Obviously, like I said, it's unfortunate that it doesn't mean a whole lot, but you got to get those guys on the campus first. You got to have those guys in your program. I think a lot of people try to act like recruiting rankings aren't a big deal because it obviously doesn't directly correlate to on-field production. But it's a big deal and it plays a part in it. And if you want to be there, you have to do it here first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just think it's huge. Just we had a couple 3-stars in here, 1 4-star, and now we're adding all this top talent in here with some underrated guys. I think that's exactly what this class needed.
Yep. And in the right areas too. We're getting some we're getting some high need area. Not only like you need a lot of talent in those areas, but also we just need some guys on our roster currently. Kevin Stokes asked, "What are y'all gonna do with all the QBs?" No clue.
Make it work. We'll make it work.
You maybe having a lot of work to do. It maybe because it's slow, but I feel like JT Daniels, it's slowed down since the recruits started rolling in. But right there, you kind of start. Okay, maybe they are talking. Maybe Tennessee and JT Daniels are talking.
Yeah.
It's possible. So you could add another QB to the 2020 roster, which would just make it. I imagine you see someone leave before that. Maybe 2 people leave before that becomes the case.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. Kind of seems like guys like maybe at the bottom of that depth chart, like Brian Maurer, seems like he really wants to be here.
Yeah, I think with all this talent, the best player is going to play. You need a starter and a backup quarterback. Yeah. Anybody other than that is probably on the verge of leaving.
Yeah, especially with how the rules are nowadays. So
yep.
Then that could be that's something we talk about as we talk about recruiting classes too. I feel like nowadays when you look at in February after you see the 25 guys or so that you get, you're probably looking at a few and trying to find out which ones potentially won't be a part of your program this time next year because they didn't win a starting job, didn't get the playing time they liked, maybe didn't like the position they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but now when you're able to kind of review what where you're at and move on within such a short amount of time, it's something I think you consider with recruiting classes as you recruit them. So
yeah, recruiting at this level, like the best player is going to play, and if some guy 3 or 4-star wants to leave, that's
right.
It is what it is. That's part of life.
Right. I feel like that didn't used to happen, but it's definitely become more prevalent.
Yeah.
So
we had Andrew Frizzle ask, "What do we think about JT Daniels?" And Scott Conhorn said, "Do we definitely redshirt Harrison Bailey?"
I would say definitely redshirt. I don't think you could put that if you had a quarterback maybe with more, because even if JT Daniels comes in, he's not like a solidified starter by any means.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't proven that in his last stop, and obviously hasn't proven it here yet. So I don't think you should say definitely redshirt Harrison Bailey. I think if JT Daniels comes, it's probably more likely, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, what do you really have on him?
Right.
I feel like he's probably level playing ground with Harrison, so I don't even know if it's more likely.
Mm-hmm. He does have experience, but he also has, he had a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
So you got to look out for that as well. I do think.
Go ahead. Hadn't played since then either, so it's like he's come back from it or been healthy since it and not played in a game.
Right. And you talked about like how it didn't used to be like that. It didn't used to be where freshmen actually played, but with this staff, it's proven that they do not care if you're a freshman. If you're the best one to play, you're going to play. So yeah, Harrison Bailey, I don't think that's a lock to be a red shirt. I mean, if he doesn't win the job, I guess you do that.
Right.
But I think he will have every opportunity to win that job.
I think so. Yep, I agree. I would say he definitely won't be redshirted day one.
No.
Maybe it gets down the line and it's like, all right, he hasn't played. Let's not use him the last 4 games in garbage time. So that is the good news too. Now he can play 4 games. So,
dude,
participate in 4 games.
Going back to recruiting? When is Auburn gonna get just so fed up with Tennessee? Do you think it's just because Jeremy Pruitt is just like he's always hated Auburn because he was an Alabama guy and just wants to destroy them in recruiting?
I mean, if they had to kind of see some kind of vengeance coming after the Jay Hardy thing.
Yeah, so you think it's all Jay Hardy? It's not just because Pruitt hated Auburn?
Or
you think it's a little bit of both?
Pruitt definitely hates Auburn. Yeah. But I'm saying like Auburn had to know that their time was coming after because it wasn't just Jay Hardy. Jay Hardy participated, or Auburn participated in that whole like messing with Tennessee deal.
Right.
Like that was obviously Auburn had to play a small part in that. I'm not saying they directed it and orchestrated it, but they had to play a small part in it.
Yeah, they knew he had signed and didn't mention it to Tennessee.
And not only were they messing with Tennessee, essentially, they also could have cost UT recruiting violations. Yeah. So
get you some of that, Auburn. So we took Julian Nixon, Dylan Brooks, Cody Brown. It looks like it's between Tennessee and Auburn, and then Caden Salter is between Tennessee and Auburn.
Wow. So I mean, that's a lot of head-to-head recruiting in the last 2 years,
and just
twaxing
that.
Yeah. Is it like overall? Are we winning that competition? You'd say over the last? I mean, this year we are obviously.
Yeah, I would say this year. I mean, last year I guess
they probably got the upper hand.
I mean, they got Jay Hardy. I can't really remember.
Yeah, I don't know who's head-to-head. But I feel like a lot of guys have Auburn and Tennessee like in their top 2 or 3 this year that it's come down to, whereas that hadn't been the case the last couple of years.
Right.
Which also should tell us we're at least competing with one division opponent or one SEC opponent. So obviously we're competing with some of the guys we've gotten of late, but
But I mean, just think like Pruitt's first year, they go down and beat Auburn at Auburn. Like he just doesn't.
No.
He doesn't lose to Auburn.
He definitely doesn't like Auburn. He was an Alabama guy. Now he's a Tennessee guy. Neither of those fan bases are big Auburn fans. Tennessee fan base, at least, I feel like we used to not like Auburn a lot more a while ago. Now we don't see him as often. I'd say it's dialed back just a hair.
I think the Jay Hardy thing definitely brought up some animosity there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We definitely are not going to we're not going to forget that anytime soon. No. That's for sure.
But yeah, I just think where we're at right now with recruiting, I think to compete with the blue bloods, if you will, in football, like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, you got to win some recruiting battles, and Tennessee's doing that right now. That I feel like that's the first step in competing with them on the field is get the guys in here to compete with them on the field.
Right.
So we're doing that. Dude, Terrence Lewis, 6'1", 200. He's in Hollywood, Florida. And, like, the 3 teams are within his recruitment are Tennessee, Nebraska, and Texas A&M. So it's not any Florida teams.
Yeah,
very far away.
I saw where he said in an Instagram Q&A that if he had to choose today, it'd be Tennessee or Nebraska. It's like, that seems like it's strange.
Yeah. Who would want to go to Nebraska? Jesus.
Easy. We haven't gotten him yet.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't want to go to Nebraska. It's freaking cold.
Most sellouts of all time, or most consecutive sellouts? There you go. I think that's what it is. I think it's the record they hold.
That's cute.
Don't they get like 90,000 every spring game? Isn't that their like big tradition? Getting 90,000 for a spring game?
Nice. Congrats on that.
I seriously think that's like one of their like I guess I don't know, a tradition, because they were one of the teams that did the virtual spring game. I was like, wow, no one wants to watch a spring game now, and then of course no one wants to watch a virtual spring game.
I guess you claim what you can claim, I guess.
Yeah.
They also have 12 outside linebackers on their roster.
Good Lord. Who is it that had 10 tight ends?
The Bears.
They can just play each other, I guess, every week.
Yeah. It'd be a good matchup. They can just do like Oklahoma drills just line up.
Yeah. The YouTube chat's making fun of Nebraska. Fair. Yeah, pretty much corn is all they have. That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
I think that's
Scott Frost was like their savior and hadn't really done much.
Yeah, that's got to really suck to step into that role and not do incredibly well. I think he's got a chance still, at least.
Yeah. I mean, with Ohio State being the way they are, I just don't see them really surpassing them anytime soon.
Right. Bobby said to make sure the Facebook viewers are chatting. I think we have a lot of Georgia fans in the YouTube chat, so he's asking for some backup. Go get it there. Anything else for recruiting? Well, we're about to talk a lot more about recruiting, but anything else you want to add before we get Matt Ray on?
I just think I love it when people say we're cheating, because like that's when you know you made it.
First off, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying we're not.
Right. I mean, I'm not willing to say that either, but I mean, yeah, you always if people aren't accusing you of cheating, you're probably not doing that good. So
be back.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll I always appreciate getting accused of cheating. It's always very important.
Also, Derek Ansley and T. Martin they've brought in all of our commits so far, those 2 guys.
Really?
Yeah, so Derek Ansley is the number 4 rated recruiter in the country, and then T. Martin is the number 9. I think T. Martin has 5 commits, and Derek Ansley has 8.
Dang.
So all 13 are from those 2 guys right now. Now, if Niedermeyer locks down his 5-star, like he dropped his little Easter egg today, or drop the mic. Terrence Lewis, that's all him. That's all Brian Niedermeyer.
Well, and he's talked about the relationship that him and Niedermeyer have had too. He said when Tennessee was kind of, I guess, falling out of that top group, Niedermeyer stayed in contact with him, and just because, and that helped that relationship a lot. And then he said Tennessee's kind of, I guess, since the recruiting kind of shut down a little bit, Tennessee's been the front runner.
I think when all this kind of happened, we mentioned on the show that we didn't think Tennessee was going to struggle so much recruiting during this because there's so many guys that have good relationships with recruits and stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys on the staff that do a good job of building those relationships. Niedermeyer is obviously one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, like he went to church with Henry To'oTo'o.
I don't know if I heard that story. That's good.
So he talked about it on the Slice.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. I didn't listen to To'oTo'o's full.
I haven't listened to Trey Smith's. Did you listen to Trey's?
I've listened to a lot of both To'oTo'o and Trey's. I've only listened to probably half of each. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the Slice is good. If you haven't listened to the Slice, we're actually going to talk about it more a little bit later. The Slice, though, is a podcast put on by Tennessee Football, produced by Tennessee Football, and it's going to have. It's essentially just like a player profile, but longer. You're getting a look into kind of their lives and what their goals and I guess dreams are too, and why they came to Tennessee and why they, I guess, every day choose Tennessee. So
yeah,
it's really good so far. Again, I haven't listened to the entire To'oTo'o one, but the bit I did listen to was really good, and Trey Smith's the same. Anything Trey Smith's part of, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to be good. So,
yeah, I know
he seems to be the man.
Our Jumbotron, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but our Jumbotron is actually who we'd want to see next, I guess.
Also, I didn't tell you past, present, I guess even some future. I don't know if you use those liberties. Where did you stay in the present? Like guys on the roster?
I stuck with guys either on the roster or just left due to the draft or something.
Fair. I didn't tell you. I was just curious where you'd go with it.
Okay.
So, that's good. It's good with me.
Did you watch? So, I have up Cody Brown right now. Did you watch Harrison Bailey's senior season in the semifinals? Who they played?
I saw. I mean, I know what you're referring to. I know the game you're speaking of. I didn't watch the full game. I've seen highlights from the game.
Okay. I mean, the kid's dominant, and look at
he played for the team that
yes.
That Harrison Bailey played.
Yeah, and they had the checkerboard end zones.
Yeah, orange and white checkerboard end zones.
And he was wearing Tennessee gloves.
Yeah.
So, maybe hint. Maybe.
He did lose, though.
Yeah, he did rush for 200 yards on guys that all over that Marietta team were committed to Power 5 programs.
Right.
Too, so.
Right.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We look good, dude.
Maybe find out.
Things are happening on Rocky Top.
Right. Make him pushes.
Yeah.
Make him pushes. You ready to get Matt ready real quick?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to run to a real quick break. We're going to have Matt on the other side. We'll be right back. Stick with us, and you're going to get to hear a lot more of Matt's thoughts on recruiting and what he knows as well. He knows a lot, so you want to stick around.
Yeah. We welcome onto the show Matt Ray with Volunteer Recruiting Reports. Matt, how's it going, man? You guys had some good news here recently with recruiting and also with your with your network. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we actually moved over onto the Sports Illustrated network, part of the Sports Illustrated family now. Running a website called Volunteer Country for them. It will soon become VR2 on Sports Illustrated, but that's kind of where we're at for the time being, just getting our feet wet in the network and continuing to work all different angles while sports are kind of at a halt.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I will definitely send you a picture of me looking at a magazine in Food City with your face on it someday soon.
Absolutely, man. I look forward to that.
So let's get started. Tennessee comes into today, finishing off the hat trick yesterday. So before we get into the recruits that we got or the commits we got, what do you think got this ball rolling? What started this momentum for Tennessee?
I mean, really, you don't want to put it on the virus shutdown, but that gave the staff a chance to come in and really say, okay, this is who our top targets are. You had Jimmy Brumball and Jay Graham come in. Brian Niedermeyer moved over to the linebacker position, and that puts him in a spot where he can be a heavy hitter even more so than he was as a tight ends coach. He can go all over the defense at that point. But really, they had a chance to identify some of their top targets, and a lot of those guys were identified already, but they were able to hone in on those guys and start selling these unique pitches, and they've made really strong pushes. And, you're talking about some guys who a couple of months ago that Tennessee was maybe running fourth or fifth for, and during this shutdown, they have put all of their efforts into recruiting, and it's starting to pay off. Dylan Brooks was the catalyst, but that trio, they planned that out the way that they did. They're very close. They wanted to go 1, 2, 3 and each have their day and get in this class and get going. So it's there's a lot of momentum behind Tennessee right now.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's giving us something to talk about. So let's get into this hat trick. So you started off with Dylan Brooks, the 5-star defensive end out of Alabama. What is Tennessee getting with a guy like Dylan Brooks?
You're getting a guy that's, still a little bit raw, but is a freak athlete, just an explosive first step, and just the way he bends around offensive tackles at 6'5", 225 pounds. He's virtually unblockable when he wants to be. He has a nice combo of strength and speed, and plays in pretty good competition in Alabama and lines up out wide at wide receiver and runs past cornerbacks that have offers. So this is a guy who is just overall an athlete, but a guy that you're used to seeing in Jeremy Pruitt defense is long, can disrupt passing lanes, and just play in space and do it comfortably. I mean, at one point last season, I was talking to Brooks in Tennessee, even talked about playing him at a middle linebacker position in certain sub packages. That's how versatile he is and how much range he has. So you're talking about a prospect with tremendous upside and a guy that's not even close to his ceiling yet.
That's awesome. So the next one was Kamar Wilcoxon, the 4-star DB out of, I guess he's from Atlanta, but now he's going to attend IMG Academy for his senior year. What's Tennessee getting with him?
When you look at Wilcoxon, you got a guy who's been recruited as an athlete over the course of his national recruiting days, if you will, holds 53 offers. And shortly after he decommitted from Florida, we caught up and we talked about his top 8 that he put out almost immediately. And he put that top 8 out because he had to get some of the teams out of the picture for him. 48 of the 53 schools that had offered him were in contact within 48 hours of him decommitting. So he's a long, kind of rangy DB. He can play safety. He can play corner. He's going to get his first look at corner at Tennessee. And that's really what helped the Vols the most with him is some schools were pitching him on being a safety. Some schools were pitching him on playing, corner, safety, maybe even, working in some wide receiver as he has a little bit of a background there. But Tennessee sold him on being a corner. He's always been high on Derek Ansley, was high on Jeremy Pruitt before Derek Ansley got there. But when Ansley got there, Tennessee really moved the needle even when he was committed to Florida. So you're talking about a guy who can play all over the field, has a lot of upside, still has a lot of room to grow and improve his technique could play in at the nickel if he needed to. So it's a guy who can play all over the secondary, and another really good DB addition that is just, again, and I say this again, but these are the recruits that Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Ansley are used to coaching, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you're talking about guys who have the Alabamas and the LSUs and the Georgias pursuing them. They're winning big boy battles right now.
Yeah, love to win those battles against those kind of programs. And you mentioned Derek Ansley and Jeremy Pruitt. They definitely love their versatile defenders, guys that can play different positions. That leads us into our last one, who to finish off the hat trick was Julian Nixon. And what's Tennessee getting in him, and what position does he play at Tennessee?
He's a jumbo athlete. I mean, in my opinion, you're talking about a guy who plays Wildcat quarterback at his high school, lines up out wide, can stretch the field vertically. Okay, if he hitches up and catches a little screen pass, able to run through defenders. Tennessee thinks they can use him underneath like Jawan Jennings and play him in that slot. I kind of expect him to play in the slot and play a little bit more of like an H-back role, maybe flex down to tight ends in certain situations if he stays at that 225, 230 mark. If Tennessee wants to slim him down and try to put a little speed on him, then he's still going to be a big frame receiver. You're talking about a kid in high school that's, already ran a laser time faster than Jawan and is a little bit bigger. So, maybe they do use him in that slot and use him solely as a receiver, but I think it kind of depends on how the targets at the tight end position, which is a key position for the Vols in this cycle, and they're swinging at some big names, and we'll see what kind of traction they're able to pick up there, but that's a spot they don't have a commitment, so you could see Nixon flip down into that spot if needed, especially with his size and the receivers that are already on the roster.
Tennessee's definitely going to continue to use guys pretty much any way they can get talent on the field, just the biggest and fastest guys. We've got Matt Ray of Volunteer Recruiting Reports on right now talking about the hat trick. I do want to turn a look. How has Tennessee been able to out-recruit the competition with everything going on right now? They're not able to go in home with guys. I imagine the contact's been difficult. How have they adapted?
Yeah, I mean, I think you consistently hear that Tennessee's one of the schools that has adapted the most. A lot of schools are doing unique things, but you can only be, so unique. You can only do so many Zoom calls, so many FaceTime calls, but Tennessee's been able to show guys the academic side of things. They've been able to answer questions. They've been able to show so much more that they could still show on campus through those calls. And I think it's just been a detail-oriented process. I think it's been a commitment from those guys to have their information laid out and say, you know what, we can't get better on the practice field right now. We don't have a lot of control over anything else. We have to control recruiting. And you're talking about going into Jeremy Pruitt's third year. When you look at college head coaches, especially in the SEC, Year 3 is a big year. Not make or break for Jeremy Pruitt by any means, but it's a big year and a big year on the recruiting trail. Your program is at a pivotal spot where you can sell a lot of things or you're catching a lot of negative light depending on how you did coming out of year 2. And Tennessee's got one of the longest winning streaks in the nation right now. I mean, they have some stuff to sell. They have a youthful, energetic coaching staff. Some guys that, and I talked about this recently on another podcast with Rocky Top Insider, Jimmy Brumball, Shelton Felton, and Joe Osave. This isn't the biggest job for Brumball, but it's probably right there at least. But this is their first chance to recruit at a high level, and I think every one of those guys are up to the challenge. They know the demands that Jeremy Pruitt has, and you're just seeing it. You're just seeing that stuff pay off.
Yeah, and, Tennessee, we were talking about before we got you on, we were talking about maybe who's next. You saw Niedermeyer kind of drop a little Easter egg that somebody else is coming. Is it Terrence Lewis, Cody Brown, Caden Salter? Those are the 3 kind of trending toward Tennessee. So, maybe you can talk about those guys, but who are some other blue chippers that Tennessee's kind of going after right now?
Yes, I mean, all those guys you've mentioned, Tennessee does definitely have traction there and are battling. There's still a ways to go in several of those races, but, Tennessee's battling for Smael Munden out of Paulding County. They're obviously still in the race for Peyton Page, and probably Javari Ritzie and Junior Colson are two of the other guys that are getting the most attention. Tennessee's in a heavy battle with Michigan, and many believe right now that Michigan is the team to beat. And if I was picking today, I would probably go with Michigan because Colson's family does have some Michigan background. They love the school. They know a lot about the school. They like the academics there. Talking with Junior, he's very engaged in academics with both schools. And right now, those are kind of his finalists headed into a May decision. But Tennessee's nowhere close to done in this one. They are not going away. And then Ritzie, he's that guy. He's that blue chipper in North Carolina to go along with Page. But they really want to add to this class and kick that pipeline back open. And Tennessee's got a big battle there, and it's really Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia in that one, in my opinion. But the Vols have done a nice job and continue to work there. And then, talking about the other three guys, I guess you asked me about Lewis first. He's definitely a guy. I ran an interview with him this morning, and credit Brian Niedermeyer. He has done an excellent job of building that relationship dating back to last summer. And now he's coaching the linebacker position. So, that's helping Tennessee, and they're trying their best to make headway in that battle and go head-to-head with Texas A&M and Nebraska, who have been viewed as the leaders for some time in that one.
Yeah, and you mentioned Junior Colson, which is an in-state guy out of Ravenwood. It would definitely suck to lose him to Michigan, especially Tennessee fans are still not over the Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning Heisman race. So that would kind of suck. But going to some in-state prospects, it seems like this in-state crop is a little bit weaker than last year. But who's Tennessee kind of going after, or who is maybe committed to other places that Tennessee might get back in later on when all this is over?
Obviously, like we just mentioned, Colson, and then Hudson Wolf's another guy. Tennessee has to fill at least one spot at tight end, and they really need to fill two, and that's what everybody thinks that they will take. But Wolf is a priority there, and Tennessee's battling hard between Ole Miss and Alabama, who are both pulling on him. So we'll see. Every one of those schools are pretty close to home for him. So the shutdown isn't really affecting him that much because all of his finals are in a pretty central location for him. But, Tennessee's not going to go away there. Dietrich Pennington, just a versatile offensive lineman out in Cordova. He's another guy that Tennessee is battling in this class. He's a guy that Tennessee could use at guard or tackle depending on how the class plays out. But he's athletic enough to play both, and some people believe he could play on the defensive side of the ball if they needed him to. Outside of that, it's not the strongest in-state crop. I mean, you're not hearing a lot of guys, a lot of the higher-rated guys that Tennessee has a whole lot of interest in. There's some communication back and forth with Trey Curry, but Tennessee doesn't appear to be pushing as hard there. The two kids out of Pearl Cohen, and that's a school that Tennessee's gone to and got Elijah Simmons out of. They like both of those guys. They like Kendrick Breedlove as a nickel corner and an athlete, and they like William Griffin to be able to play more than likely a guard, in my opinion, but right tackle or right guard, and he's another guy that could flip down and play the nose. So just, some guys at positions of need, but Tennessee, they're not as involved with the in-state crop right now, and they're recruiting at a high rate in the states around them. So, we'll see if they have to get more involved. They had to get more involved last year. They didn't have Brian Niedermeyer winning some of those battles that we're accustomed to, and that's to no fault of his own. They kind of face planted coming out of the gates. But, Tennessee's back this year on the recruiting trail hard, and they're hitting on some of their top targets nationally. So that does hurt you with the in-state stock. But we'll see if they have to come back around and circle back to any guys.
Yeah, so you mentioned the in-state crop and some positions of need. What do you think is the biggest positions of need going forward?
Oh, man, that's tough. I would probably say that you don't have an offensive lineman committed yet. So you have to fill some positions there. You have, obviously, Brandon Kennedy leaving. After his senior season, Trey Smith will be gone. Always a chance that if Cade Mays gets eligible, and it appears that he will, if the NCAA approves the the transfer rule for 2020, which many expect them to. There's always a chance he could be a draft pick and leave. So Tennessee's got to revamp the offensive line again with more quality depth. And I think for me that's probably the biggest position, but they have to find some versatile defensive linemen. And they're battling at that position. Like I said, they have Peyton Page, Tyrion Ingram, Dawkins is another guy that they really covet. So they still have a little ways to go there, but I would put the trenches as probably my biggest position of need, followed by tight end.
We definitely need to recruit offensive linemen. We've learned that hard lesson from 2011, I guess was the year.
Is that the dude who wore the orange pants?
It was. We did not recruit well. Didn't recruit any offensive linemen, let alone recruit well. So what does recruiting look like moving forward with obviously the pandemic going on around us? Camps won't be as prevalent. How are coaches going to go out and effectively start recruiting this summer and then for the 2022 class, but then also continue recruiting effectively in the 21 class?
Well, Tennessee's done a pretty good job of identifying targets all the way down to the 2023 class during this lockdown. And, I have to think that whenever the time comes and, hopefully it's this summer for everybody's sake, I imagine that dead period will be waived. There will be extra evaluation time, and that's going to get unique in itself because there's going to be schools that aren't having practices and whatnot. So how are coaches going to be able to evaluate? But that's something that, the NCAA is going to have to address. But I would expect the Tennessee coaching staff to have to be on the road a pretty good bit this summer and fall leading into camp. So, we'll see what happens, but it does sound like, the majority of colleges around the Southeast right now are planning to hold on-campus instruction in the fall, which is likely good for a football season. We'll see what happens out west. They're not as keen on it, but, at the end of the day, it does seem like football is going to be played this fall. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be hard to track, and it's sad for some of these kids. They really blow up during this time. I go back to Laneith Whitehead. I just ran an interview with him earlier this morning that we did via Zoom, and we kind of talked about everything with his roller coaster recruitment, but he blew up coming out of the opening in May. I left the opening, and he had like 4 or 5 offers, and when I got the 2-hour ride home, he had like 15.
Jesus.
So, yeah, when somebody sees something and the right coach sees something and one comes, they all come. So it was like Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, all those schools that were, in the race for him at one point, all offered within like a 48-hour span coming out of one camp. So, kids can blow up, kids get a lot of chances and get to continue to refine their game. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are adapted whenever life goes back to whatever normal may be.
Right. So, Matt, we just got one more question. I know you got a photo shoot to do for Sports Illustrated.
Absolutely.
Are you doing the swimsuit edition?
Not this year. I didn't make the cut. Got to drop a few pounds.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm with you there.
So 2022, I know that's a little bit far off, but we're talking about quarterbacks who usually come off the board a little bit earlier than most anyway. Who's Tennessee's top quarterback? Is it Ty Simpson out of Martin, Tennessee? Is it Caden Martin out of Knoxville Catholic? Is it Braden Davis, the son of Anton Davis up in Delaware?
Hey, right now it's definitely Ty Simpson. That's a guy that this staff's prioritizing. He's hearing a lot from him. He's very receptive, and like you guys said, quarterbacks tend to come off the board pretty early, and he's not against committing early and finding a fit. But he's in it for the long haul, whatever he needs to do. His dad is the coach at Tennessee Martin, so he has that unique aspect of it. He has a head coach coaching him on the recruiting trail, and not just a high school head coach, a college head coach. So, that's a unique aspect. I think Caden Martin could play his way into the class, depending on what happens with that one-time transfer rule, if Tennessee has guys leave, if by chance JT Daniels were to choose Tennessee over all of the other suitors, how does that shake out the quarterback room? Who's still here at the end of the day? Will Tennessee take 2 guys? If so, you know that Caden Martin, if he was to commit, it seems more likely that he would probably stay committed as long as his dad was the coach and everything's going the same way. And he's a baseball star as well, so that's a unique opportunity he has at Tennessee. So, for me, I think right now it's probably those two guys, but you can't discount Braden Davis. You can't discount another in-state prospect in Tavin Carter out of Memphis. And there's a lot of guys. I think Tennessee feels good about recruiting at the position right now, and they haven't got involved with a whole lot of guys there. Another guy that's pretty close by was at one point the number 2 player in the country, depending on what rankings you were looking at, and the number 1 quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, but the Vols haven't even extended an offer there yet that I'm aware of. That's public anywhere. So, I think Tennessee probably feels good about where they stand with quarterbacks in the 22 class.
Awesome. Well, Matt, it was great having you on. We'll definitely keep an eye out for you at Food City when we're checking out the magazines. But we really appreciate you coming on. We'll have everybody go and check you guys out, and wish you the best, and hopefully you're staying safe through all this.
Absolutely, guys. Always enjoy coming on with you, and wish you and your families the best and safeness during this time.
Thanks, Matt. You too, man.
That was Matt Ray with Vol Recruiting Reports. Start with some Sports Illustrated. That's big time.
That is. Excited for him. Excited for his group getting the opportunity to kind of expand their work. They do a great job. If you don't follow them on Twitter, Vol Recruiting Reports, it's at VR2.
Yep.
I believe is the exact at. You can find it on our page. And then you're also going to be able to find them. I need to check out their website. But if you go on their Twitter, you can find it all. Because I was actually reading the article. Who was it about this morning?
Neath Whitehead?
No, it wasn't Lenneth Whitehead's. It was, who was it? He even talked about it in the interview. Can't think of the name right now. But great stuff right there. Yeah, you can get on their Twitter.
Terrence Lewis.
That was exactly what it was. Great article, great stuff, great content. Matt does a fantastic job. We appreciate him hopping on to talk a little bit about recruiting during this exciting time. I know it sounds crazy, but exciting time for recruiting.
Yeah, and he was talking about Caden Martin and how he's a baseball player. I saw today where he's a top baseball player in his class in Tennessee.
Yep. Number one.
I don't know. Does he play baseball?
He might.
I mean, if just have him go to the Vitello.
Right.
That's fine with me. Either way.
Come to the Hill.
Yeah.
Either way.
Get him on campus.
Flipping to our 98 rewatch. Playing UAB, homecoming. Number 2 moved up one spot in the rankings. So we're number 2 in the country now, facing off a not so good 2-6 UAB team led by Watson Brown, who is the brother of Mac Brown.
And played quarterback at Vanderbilt.
And with Mac at one point.
Yeah, and I think he actually, in a game against Tennessee, got knocked unconscious.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, and I think it was a tie game then, and he got knocked unconscious. He woke up, and Tennessee won by double digits.
Sounds about like a Vanderbilt. Yeah. I feel like we don't do a good job of bringing it back to 1998.
Okay.
So let's bring it back to 1998.
Okay.
Speaking of Mac Brown, he's 7-2 in his first year at Texas with Ricky Williams at running back. So speaking of Mac Brown, he's
the running back, y'all.
Was he at North Carolina before Texas? So he's at North Carolina, and then which he's back to now. That feels like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Back at North
Going
Carolina.
circles.
You're right. So we're back. This is week 10. Here's your top 10. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Tennessee. Number 3, UCLA. Number 4, Kansas State. Number 5, Florida. I'm not going to give you the full top 10. I was just going to give you the top 5. But I have extra number 6 written in because it's Florida State. So you'll see them move up the rankings in the next couple
weeks.
Where's
Arkansas?
I'm not sure in that. I think I've actually still got that tab.
Because next week is
it's the showdown. I think they're
premium matchup.
They might be number 6 when we play them. Number 7?
Yeah, it was something. It was a
top 10 matchup. Yeah, we know that. I'll have that pulled up in just a second. You'll like this one. Since I haven't been doing this, we'll go back to October just a little bit. In 1998 in October, the New York Yankees just swept the Padres for a World Series. Yeah, I knew you'd like this one. That's why I threw it in there. They also have the most. They finished with 125 wins. That's the most wins by any baseball team in the last 123 years, and I couldn't find evidence of that being broken. So
you damn right.
Still hold it. I knew you'd like that one. Thought I threw it in. Also, Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
Know your co-host.
Exactly. then the Monica Lewinsky scandal is kind of breaking. Bill Clinton is about to start going through his impeachment. So
Good for him.
Exactly. We can talk about that more. Like I said, I'm trying to set the mood. I'm trying to get us back into 1998.
I mean, can you just say, like, congrats on the sex?
Yeah. Exactly. Whoa. Alleged.
Oh, allegedly.
Alleged. To set the mood some more, the Colts. I'm going to mention the Colts because they were being quarterbacked by Peyton Manning at this time. They lost 14-27 to the Dolphins. That would be tomorrow in our time. So I believe this game is November 6th, 7th. That would be November 8th. I think, yeah.
We're going way back because the Dolphins are winning football games.
Exactly. And then I've got the Tennessee Oilers beating the Bucks on the road. If they're playing at home, which I'm sure they will be in some of these weeks, they'll be playing in Vanderbilt Stadium. They don't have a home yet. They don't have LP Field yet.
Ugh.
So
I'd rather just not play.
Right. So you asked what Arkansas was ranked this week. They're ranked... gotta count. They're 11th now. They'll be number 10 coming into Neyland.
Gotcha. Because so Tennessee was 3 coming into this week
last week.
Yeah, last week. Mm-hmm. And UCLA played Stanford. They only won 28-24, and that's why Tennessee jumped them in the rankings.
And that's one thing I wanted to talk about. We're talking about setting the mood, really.
Okay.
Did you notice Tim Priest all game? You can tell how big of a fan he is. He's talking about the computer all game.
Yeah.
We got to win by X amount of numbers to impress the computer. Do you remember those days?
Well, yeah, and then Steve Johnson mentions it, at the first of the broadcast, and he's like, "It sucks that we have this ranking because of freaking computer."
Yeah, yeah. So he's all about it. I actually have the BCS update. It's they update it in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'll go ahead and get there, I guess, while we're talking about setting the mood. During the fourth quarter, Tim Priest gets pretty excited, as well as you can hear the crowd get excited because they make the announcement that Ohio State is losing to Michigan State.
Yep.
By 1? Is that right? Was I reading the right week? I don't think I was.
They ended up losing.
They ended up losing by 3, I think.
4.
I
think it was 28-24.
So they were leading. Michigan State was leading Ohio State 25-24. Then the final, so they kick a field goal at some point, 28-24. So I had the wrong. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong week. So Arkansas was number 9 when we played them.
Okay.
And number 10 this week.
Gotcha.
So they'll move. Yeah. So that'll help move us to number 2, or to number 1. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll move up to number 1.
To number 1. That'll help us move to number 1, and we'll hold that number 1 ranking. But in the fourth quarter, before Ohio State lost, I don't remember how the BCS worked, the numbers. I remember the computer. I remember the computer generated it, but I don't remember how the numbers work. But Ohio State had 3.71, Tennessee had 5.70, UCLA had 6.62, and I went ahead and skipped to FSU because they would be playing in the final. They had a score at this point of a 12.27.
They lost their first game of the season.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then didn't lose again.
Right.
So, you could tell Tim Priest is a little on edge about it. He is talking about the whole game. Mm-hmm. Talking about
gotta win because we're a 42-point favorite.
Yeah, and he's we got to win by 42.
Got to score again.
We don't quite. 37-13. Not a bad victory, and you took care of business. I think their touchdown.
Yeah, their touchdown was late in the fourth quarter.
It was late in the fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I meant to do this, too, before we got into the game. I'm sorry. So we talked about T's NCAA record last week, right?
Yep.
That he set. I believe we discussed how he no longer held it for the NCAA. Did we talk about this?
No, we didn't know if he held it or not.
So he no longer holds it.
Okay.
He no longer holds it. The record now is actually 36 by Dominique Davis from ECU. For ECU. He did it against Navy and Memphis. I think Memphis was the first game, or Navy was the first game he played in that to complete the 36, and Memphis was the second game. He completed the most in one game. I believe that was against Memphis, 26.
I think so. 23 was
23 was consecutive, became 26. 36 was the most consecutive completed over.
Jesus Christ.
And then completion percentage in one game, he had 95.8. This is incredible. I need to read off these stats because this is incredible. So he set the record for completion percentage in a game, 95.8. That was broken by Grayson Lambert. He had 96% against USC in 15. Kyle Allen had, I have terrible handwriting. I believe that's 93.9%. Okay, so he's still, I guess he's still in second. Oh, that I have it written down based on how many completions they had. Okay. So Grayson Allen had at least 20 because I think T only had 24.
Consecutive?
23. He had 23 in that game.
Yes.
He had 23.
Right.
So Kyle Allen had 30. He threw 30 attempts and completed 93% of those. And then Seth Dagey, I believe is how you say his name. He played for Texas Tech. Had 90.9% completions and he had over 40 attempts.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's insane. So he actually broke Cliff Kingsbury's school record on that.
Oh.
Yeah. So
take that,
right,
Cliff, in your $85 million home.
85.
I don't know.
We go to pay-per-view though. This game's on pay-per-view again.
Yeah.
Again, I think pay-per-view might be the best because the stadium shots are so much better on pay-per-view. I don't know why.
And you have a Tennessee fan calling the game.
And you have a Tennessee, yeah. Because last week we had not quite pay-per-view, but Raycom might as well be.
Right.
Jefferson's Pilot.
Yeah.
It's run by Raycom, and then with Bob Kessley on the call. Now we get Tim Priest on the call for pay-per-view. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Did you see the old Smokey running out of the tee?
That's one thing I was like, Smokey looks
creeped you out.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I'm glad we went away from that a long, long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Ugh. I'm glad we don't bring it back for homecoming anymore because that's something you bury in your history, right?
Right.
Like you're not proud of that.
No. Like how are kids like? How did you bring that around children?
Right. That was creepy.
Yeah. Tennessee's defense played well again. As they have basically every game. Tennessee's defense gave up 33 points to Syracuse. Coming into this game, only giving up 11.3 in the game after Syracuse. Or the games after Syracuse.
Right. And
so solid.
Yeah.
And a lot of good opponents in that. It wasn't just
it wasn't a bunch of UABs week to week. And UAB's offense probably tested the mind more than anything, but because it was pretty much just a glorified high school offense. Just line up in a bunch of different formations. Yeah. Hope they get confused and then run right or left.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of triple option wishbone.
It was like random veer triple option, then they'd go to the spread but still run. Like it was weird.
Well, on 3rd and long, they'd have quads to the right in a diamond formation and go under center. I'm like, you would never see that ever.
No.
You wouldn't see a diamond, and if you did see the small, slim chance you would see a diamond formation, the quarterback would not be under center.
Correct. Correct. That's absolutely correct. Their quarterback was not very good. Daniel Dixon had, at this point, thrown 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns on the year. So, gosh. Yeah. Also,
he took a beating.
Yes, he did. Let me mention a couple UAB players because we had one interesting story. UAB's punter, the first time he steps on the field, it is mentioned that, or maybe it was the kickoff in the second half, they mentioned that not last week, but previous weeks, he was not on the team. He was driving the equipment truck and I guess got promoted to punter. So
he's like, hey, I can punt.
I guess. Some of those smaller Division I programs can get interesting in how they find players on the field.
That's like Scottie Pippen.
Right. And then Brian Thomas, who was a first-round draft pick for the Jets, is playing. I don't know how much he played for UAB at the time. I think he was just a freshman, maybe a sophomore.
Okay.
But yeah, so UAB has a first-round draft pick at defensive line on this roster.
They had some meat up front.
Yeah. So that's a couple of their players. The offensive wise, though, UAB did not call or not confuse Tennessee's defense at all.
Yeah, I think with Tennessee, with them this whole season, with them having such a great offensive line, you can basically do anything. Yeah. Like you have so many options. You can. If you want T to have a big game, you can let T have a big game. If you want Travis Henry or Travis Stevens to have a big game, you can let them run as well.
I love how big. Is that what I was going to say?
Big. Is he tough, though? That's what I need to know.
Yeah, tough. Real tough. I love how big our offensive line is and dominating, but I also love how dominating we are in play action.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful.
Love how dominating we are in play action.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. If we can get back to that, which we kind of did a few games this year, so hopefully it just becomes a common thing. That would be nice. We'll see. That looks like the plan. It looks like what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Is to dominate the offensive line.
Especially in 98 we did. Jeez.
98, that's all we did. They also, during the game, they announced that Arkansas beat Ole Miss 34-0. So
Ole Miss, not great.
No, Ole Miss is not great. And then the next week, you obviously see that Arkansas team that won.
Yeah.
106,508 people there was the announcement. For a homecoming game, I don't think it was rainy, but it looked kind of rainy.
Well, it was like a John Ward tribute.
It was also a John Ward tribute. I did mean to mention that. Al Gore was in town. I don't know if he came to the game, but he was in Thompson Bowling Arena before the game.
Oh, what was he doing?
I guess he's friends with John Ward. I don't know. He was there for the John Ward tribute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, at least that's what Tim Priest said. Yeah.
I like that they had some calls where they let John Ward.
I was about to say they tuned into Vol Network. It was awesome. So you were like
really
watching and getting John. It was a little bit of both. That was nice.
I would like them to do that with Bertle Camp.
Yeah.
And basketball. That'd be cool.
A little money, some money calls.
Money.
You say that, but I don't want to hear any. I don't want to see any basketball games on pay-per-view. I don't need a Wednesday night pay-per-view game.
Oh no, I'm just saying like SEC. Just tune into Bertle Camp.
Then you got to listen to Bob though. You don't want to do that. It's a dangerous game you're playing.
That's
dangerous game you're playing.
That's true, but
I think Bertle Camp's worth it.
Yeah,
I'm just testing you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If you get to hear a money call,
right?
If you're losing, I guess it's not that great, but
absolutely. We get another Bernie Vesey sighting.
Yeah,
he gets a couple snaps.
Didn't throw the ball, but he's 2 for 2 on the year.
Right,
for like 46 yards and a touchdown.
Did he have a touchdown this season? Yeah, he did in the
his first pass.
Yeah, to a tight end, to a big tight end. Who was it?
Something.
I mean, like a 300-pound tight end.
Yeah, he wore like 96.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I went and did some Google research on Bernie Vesey because I was like, I feel like there's not I don't know anything about this guy. Like, I want to know who this is. Which apparently he changed positions. You mentioned that. How he probably from what you could tell, was not a quarterback the whole time. He was at Tennessee. I saw on, I think it was like fallnation.com. I don't know. It was some board. Some guy posted that he was at the time, during 1998, he was a high school math teacher. And every time he would complete a problem, he'd turn to his class and say, "Easy, sleazy, Bernie Vesey." And I was like, I like that.
Oh. That's
anytime
intense.
I'm gonna finish putting, if I'm putting something together, I'm putting a screw in as soon as easy peasy, Bernie Vesey.
I mean, like the cockiest people I've ever met have been math teachers.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
So, I mean, you make a whole saying about yourself. You fit the bill as a math teacher.
Bernie Vesey didn't say that.
Oh, Bernie.
He might have.
Oh.
But the math teacher just started saying it. Like, he would complete a problem, turn to the class, and be like,
"Oh, so Bernie Vesey is not a math teacher."
No.
Okay.
The guy who posted this on it was a post from 2004. I was just like, I had Googled Bernie Vesey, trying to find out about him, and someone had posted that because his name obviously came up in that search.
Well, I'm sorry, math teachers, that I threw you under the bus.
They are cocky though. I mean, that's absolutely true. I feel like if you disagree, you can let me know, but your argument's probably gonna make you sound cocky. So.
Exactly. Just set you up for failure.
Yeah. So Tennessee takes care of UAB easily. Now on to 8-0.
8-0, baby.
And will be number 1 in the nation after Ohio State's absolute choke job against Michigan State. So good homecoming. Send UAB back home. That's it.
Yeah, it's
98, baby. Feels like 98.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of. They mentioned a lot of the second team guys getting reps. That's something we haven't had a lot because we haven't really blown anybody out.
Right. And it felt like the defense second team felt like they got got to see a lot of the field in the second half. They didn't wait until garbage time to put them in.
Right. I don't think Al Wilson played the entire fourth quarter.
Right.
But Fulmer was definitely upset with some of the plays that he was giving up while that second team was in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
South Carolina as well.
Yes.
That's how they scored 2 touchdowns, was against that second team. So,
right.
And that they scored a touchdown against Tennessee in this game as well. So, but I mean that's big to develop guys. Game experience is the best way to learn the game of football.
Right.
Going full speed in that kind of environment. That's how you get better.
Yeah, it helps you. It allows you to build depth, and then it also helps you kind of keep morale high too. When a bunch of guys are getting to see the field, you're building a lot more morale between the team. It's not just the guys who are playing most of the time. So.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I might be second team. I'm going to play the whole second half. So
right.
Yeah, you probably lost a lot less players then because of that.
Yeah,
and just because
you're winning too.
Yeah, and you don't see a lot. You didn't see a lot of transfers back then either.
Right.
Especially not as much as you do now. Transfer portal wasn't a thing.
Right.
Arkansas next week.
I'm excited.
This game should have been a lot worse. We had 3 turnovers. I think Travis Stevens fumbled twice, so we should have blew them out a lot. Should have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
but
I think we should have covered.
But you move up to number 1.
I think Tim Presteve mentions you should have covered the spread, and I agree, Tim.
Yep,
I agree
because that offense was atrocious.
That offense was. Oh, excuse me. Oh, one of the worst college offenses I've ever watched.
And that was one of the longest games that we saw.
I was about to say it did feel long.
It was
the first half felt really long.
2 hours and 45 minutes was the broadcast.
Right, and the broadcast did run like 10 minutes longer than normal in the end, so 2:30.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that offense was awful. So was not necessarily fun to watch that all the time unless we were making plays.
Got Peerless Price going. He had over 100 yards.
So you found a box score for this game too.
Yeah.
Nice. Why don't you tell us the stats?
So T. Martin
Check the stats.
T. Martin had 8. He was 18 for 25 with 274 yards, a touchdown. Efficient again.
Yep.
Travis Henry led the Vols in rushing with 17 attempts, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Stevens had 61 yards on 14 attempts and a touchdown, and T. Martin also had a rushing touchdown. Cedric Wilson had 4 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Peerless Price had 6 receptions for 103 yards. Copeland had 4 receptions for 60 yards. Sean Bryson had 3 receptions, 36 yards. Did you see the play where he tries to hit Sean Bryson on the sidelines just to go route? He was butt naked.
Yeah.
And just hits off his fingertips. It would have been a long touchdown. Jeff Hall was 3 for 3. The long of 39. Doesn't miss. Automatic.
Love it.
Al Wilson and Raynoch Thompson led the Vols in tackles with 8. Westmoreland had 6. Walker had 6. I mean, just a dominant performance by that Volunteer defense. Westmoreland had 2 tackles for loss as well. Led the team with that. And Sean Ellis we had 2 fumble recoveries. Sean Ellis had 1 and Steve Johnson had 1. Sean Ellis took his 65 yards back. Got tackled before he couldn't make it all the way to the end zone.
For a minute, it looked like it was a long run. It would have been a long run.
Right.
But
and he was weaving in and out. I mean,
for a minute, it looked like he had a chance. You kind of assumed he was going to run out of steam.
He did the nice little cutback move.
Yep.
I liked it.
Yep.
Yeah, you should have gave him the ball on the goal line.
Yeah, that's a heavy package, man.
Yeah.
Fridge package. Give it to him.
God, I felt so bad for Dixon because not only like you're going to get hit every play because it's Tennessee and their defense is just good. They're coming after you every play.
Right.
But then you run the option, like you're definitely getting hit every play.
Yeah.
By
Hard.
a great defense. And there was one play where he pitches a ball and Al Wilson just like the top of his helmet hits right into his face mask. And Tim Priest was like, "Yep, totally legal."
Well, then,
if only
because they do, it's South Carolina. I was about to say, I feel like I remember a quarterback getting hit late. That was South Carolina. It's all running together now. Are we watching it too fast?
We might.
No, we're fine.
Yeah,
we're fine. Anything else for the UAB game you want to add?
That's all I got. It was a fun game.
Take care of business, baby. Let's get on to Arkansas.
It's always great when you know you're going to win.
Right.
What are we getting into next? The Last Dance?
Yeah, we can talk about The Last Dance. Episodes 3 and 4, I think.
Before we get into that, I got some news. So we mentioned Daniel Batuli with the Rams.
Okay.
Also, Juwan Jennings is wearing number 81 for the 49ers.
Yep.
Same as Terrell Owens.
If you need one, let Landon know.
Yeah, I can get it.
I got you.
It's a little slower than...
You don't need to know why.
Right. But yeah, same as T-Ho. That's big. Also, Jalen Hurd is coming back from injury.
Yeah.
He said
could see a matchup there.
He's back. What do you think that conversation's like between him and Jalen Hurd? Like the first initial conversation. You know they have to talk.
I don't know if they have it. I don't think they see each other until they're in the locker room on the field. I don't think there was a congratulation text sent. I'll say that.
Oh no, I'm saying like first day of OTAs or whatever.
I can't imagine it'll be outside of football. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine it won't have to do with football.
Yeah. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. It'd be fun.
Yeah, no, just a fly on the wall. I don't want to be there. Just a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I don't want
to be involved.
Right.
Don't want to be involved. That's exciting, though. It's exciting for Daniel Bertulli, obviously, and then Juwan Jennings getting a number. That's big time.
Yeah. Did you also see what Kirby Smart, his comments on the Paul Feinbaum show were?
No.
He was like, you wouldn't believe what some coaches are saying to these recruits outside of our conference. He was basically mentioning Dabo Swinney was saying that, why would you want to go to the SEC and get beat up? I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm outside the SEC, I'm going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to.
And you know what I am going to say inside the SEC? I'm going to be like, look at them. No one trusts them when they go to Clemson.
No, they suck.
Yeah. No one trusts them in the NFL. They haven't played the schedule you played. You can do both. Like, there's two sides of it.
Right. I just don't get, like, why are you whining about
right.
it?
That's,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
You do the exact same thing, but opposite.
Right.
When they're talking about, like, when it's a Clemson-Georgia battle, you're saying, you know, why would you want to go play in a weak conference?
You can't compete there.
It's a cupcake.
Yeah.
And then I just don't get it. Like, I don't get Kirby Smart. Like, why go on there and say, just keep your mouth shut?
Yeah, you don't have to talk. You don't have to say that.
I just don't get it.
Does Kirby Smart have a bowl cut or Bama Banks? Because I think I've always associated him with Bama Banks.
I don't know. He's got like the...
He may have a bowl cut.
Like, dude, why do you still...
He wears a visor all the time.
Comb your hair over? Like,
Kirby!
We're not in the freaking... This isn't 2000.
That's not a bowl cut. That's Bama Banks, if anything. It's not quite Bama Banks.
Like, you got a little boy haircut from Great Clips.
He definitely went to Great Clips. The $7 one, too.
Yeah.
The $7 one, for sure.
$6.99. Then he has to go to another barber to actually fix it after Great Clips screws it up.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Let's talk about The Last Dance. I did just see a question about the NCAA athletes getting compensated. We're about to talk about that. Stay on. Once we get done with The Last Dance, we're going to start discussing that. But The Last Dance, I know we've briefly discussed kind of episode 1 and 2 on here. But we're now on to episode 3 and 4. Episodes 5 and 6 are on this Sunday on ESPN. If you haven't watched any of The Last Dance, you can get on ESPN and watch them all. I didn't watch them on Sunday this week. I think I watched them Monday night.
But they're available on ESPN?
ESPN, yeah. And they're available like HBO like immediately, like at, is it 9?
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah, and these episodes are just, I mean, you knew how crazy Dennis Rodman was, but you didn't know how crazy Dennis Rodman was.
Yeah, no clue.
I mean, you had a good idea. He went to North Korea, but you still didn't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, Madonna, I mean, does she deserve all the credit for that?
Yeah, oh yeah. 100%.
Jeez.
Or I guess you could blame the Pistons, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, good Lord. Just like, okay, Dennis Rodman's crazy, but the person who made him, or I guess not made him, but pushed him into this is Madonna. So she has to be 10 times crazier than he is, right?
Oh, Madonna? I don't know. Because he could he clearly just took it and ran.
Yeah. He was just waiting for that, I guess.
She was just giving him some life advice, like, hey, brother, be happy. And he was like,
you.
Okay.
He's like, oh, yeah.
I know how to be happy. And he was happy.
Very strange. So, I mean, when do we just need to take a 40-hour or 48-hour vacation?
Do what now?
When do we just need to take a 48-hour vacation?
I can't take a 48-hour vacation. I'm like Rodman, and it turns into, what was it, like 86 hours gone? Yeah. He's like missing for 86 hours. And Michael Jordan didn't say what city he had to go to get him. That makes me think it wasn't even Vegas. That makes me think he like started in Vegas and ended in God knows where.
Well, I saw something today during the NBA Finals. He goes, after a game, he goes to Vegas, comes back to Utah.
Yeah.
So they're in Vegas for 8 hours. Didn't even sleep. Goes back to Utah for the early morning shoot around. They get the day off after. Goes back. So he knew a millionaire. He like flew with the millionaire to there. Comes back for that. Flies commercial because the millionaire's not going to fly him back. And goes commercial and goes back to Vegas.
That's insane.
Dude's wild.
I've heard some stories about it's like,
and for him not to miss a beat,
right? That obviously the athletes who put in the time and effort to become these incredible athletes are special, but it is so impressive, and they don't last long.
No,
they don't last long. And I don't know, how old was Rodman when he retired? How long did he last? Because he probably lasted longer than some of these guys. But, like, when you see guys like Johnny Manziel, like, when you consider that Johnny Manziel was probably hungover, potentially high every time he played football, that's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter how far he made it. He won a Heisman. Like, that's incredible.
Dennis Rodman also got drafted out of, like, community college.
Yeah. No, was it a community college?
It was
a small school. I thought it was like East.
Southeast Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Was that
Southeastern Oklahoma State, yeah.
Okay. I knew it was a really small school, but it's insane when people at that level do it. So, how long did he play in the league, though?
So, he played a lot over...
Oh, he like went to other countries or what?
So, 86 to 2000. So, he played about 14 years in the NBA.
That's pretty impressive. That's a pretty impressive streak, but... yeah, so he definitely did it longer than most. But when you look at all these guys that party how they do, like, which I don't think Gronk parties during the season, does he?
Probably.
Yeah, he probably doesn't stop partying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some of these guys that just, it's amazing what they do, at the level they do it at, and what they do with their bodies. So.
Also, the Bulls finally having a weight train to last during a Pistons series.
Yeah, well, it's funny they mentioned, like, Jordan didn't even really weight train until after. Yeah. So I guess we don't really understand that part of it, that he kind of took over. Because I talked about last week how LeBron's gone, he's gone through, like, 2-3 significant changes to his body or his style of basketball. Jordan at least went through one to change his style, because the Pistons literally just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really, well, they played basketball, but they were like, they took on, like, I don't understand how they didn't foul out. Because they took on the pickup mantra, and you don't foul out in pickup, of, like, you're not going to score, or if you are going to score, it's going to be incredibly difficult to score.
Yeah, do you think they just kept throwing, like, big, strong post players in there to just
guess.
foul them? Like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, yeah. Dude, Isaiah Thomas's excuse for walking off the floor. Dude, you're a whiny.
Didn't do that.
You're a whiny baby. You got beat. I don't care what Larry Bird did before. I don't care. He beat you. Shake his hand and leave.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I really did like how Jordan was like, he didn't shake my hand. He's like, we lost the last 2 years. I shook their hand. Yeah. They should have shook your hand.
It's not that hard.
No, it's stupid.
Which I don't know how bad.
And they were like planning on this. We're not shaking their hand. We're not shaking their hand. Like, it's one thing to just do in the moment, but it's one thing to actually like plan it.
And
like,
they had to walk across the court, didn't they, to get to their locker room?
They walked right past them.
I don't know how the Celtics did it. It's one thing too to probably like sneak off behind your bench.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think you shake hands at the end of a contest, like, period. But it's one thing to like sneak behind your bench and to walk across the court while they're shooting free throws,
right,
to get off the court.
Yep.
Shake people's hands, guys. Come on. We play sports.
Sportsmanship.
It's fun to play together.
It's like the first thing like you weren't learning upward basketball. Come on.
Right.
Isaiah Thomas.
I feel like shaking hands at the end of the game is why you try to kill each other during it. Because you're like, at the end of the day, we're going to be friends.
Did you see Isaiah Thomas that's in the league now?
No, what'd he say?
He was like, "Will y'all stop at me?" He was like, "It wasn't me.
It wasn't me, guys." It's like, I'm still playing.
He's like, "I would have shaken their hand."
That's awesome. I did not see that. NCAA players getting compensated. Looks like it's going to be passed. They're going to allow for them to profit off their likeness. I think this is the step in the right direction. I'm sure Scott Van Pelt's not happy. He thinks there's money, and I think there's money to pay him. I don't disagree. I think it's going to take a lot more change, and that's something that would have to be implemented over years and years. Also, I think it's something that you would lose smaller schools to, and that's unfortunate. So I think it's something that would have to definitely be carefully considered. I don't know what the steps NCAA are taking to potentially make that happen in the next. I mean, I think that's like a 5 to 10 year process of making that happen. If you're going to include everybody, it's just not possible the way in a perfect world. I mean, it had to be perfect to make it happen. But I think this is the right step. It allows players to profit off of their name and likeness. They can sign, I guess, get paid for doing media for people, doing ads, I guess.
They can also, like, guys who do their own businesses can.
Right. That's going to kind of allow that because they can identify themselves by their sport in school. Now they won't be able to use like logos from the school. I don't know what that means. I'm sure they'll still be allowed to wear like gear and stuff for any shoot or whatever. But they just can't be paid directly by the university or college.
Are they gonna wear like the Hulu?
Yeah, maybe.
The
That'll be what it is.
Yeah.
They also won't be allowed to be paid by boosters, so boosters can't do it. So I think there's going to be a little overhaul, and that won't be something they can do immediately, but there's going to be an overhaul to the booster situation at big colleges because they're going to use this as a recruiting tool. You're going to be able to get guys now because we know the guy who owns Dish Network. Your face can be all over Dish Network, but right now the guy who owns it's a big booster, so you're not going to be a national name right now until they can figure that out. So I think it's going to be used as a recruiting tool, but it's going to take some time. I don't know how that'll work. I do know boosters cannot be the ones paying you right now because that would be viewed as a school. Exactly, Penny. No, you still can't pay for people to move. That's not allowed.
Right.
It's not allowed. So
yeah, I think this is a long time coming.
It's a good move. I'm not saying this is the final move or should be the final move, but it's a good step forward.
Yeah,
so.
And I think it's a step and I don't know how it relates to getting NCAA football back or college video games.
I don't think it's as difficult as people are making it out to be. I think
it's a step toward that.
It's definitely a step towards it. I mean, you pay to get, Madden's the same way, and then people state, well, there's more college football players than there are, NFL football players. Well, Madden's more than just NFL players. It's also the free agents that aren't signed. Their names are on it. Their likeness is on it. That certainly doesn't add up to the college football number, but then you look at a game like MLB, where you have all the minor leagues. That certainly adds up to it. Or FIFA, who has all the small leagues, that probably adds up to it, if not more. And that works. So, and then if you don't want to be on the game, if you don't want your face on a video game, so be it. If you're going to be a walk-on defensive lineman who doesn't want his name in the game, fine. You don't get your name in the game.
That's stupid, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You have the choice.
I think that's the thing that, kind of ruined it for the NCAA, but, whatever. So, it's your choice now. You don't ruin it for the whole team. You don't ruin it for the whole country. It's just you, so that's good. This is the right step. I think this is absolutely the right step.
Yep.
So. Jumbotron. We talked about this. I wrote down. What is it? Is it the slice of orange?
The slice.
It is the slice. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the slice. Okay.
I think.
Making sure I wrote that down correctly. So it's the Slice podcast. So I think it's officially Tennessee football that puts it on, right? No, it's just VFL Films. So this is something we could see. It says from Pee Wee, so it's football. So it's just Tennessee football players. So I was about to say, maybe we see basketball. Maybe we do see kind of like a spinoff. Maybe we see basketball players, women's basketball players.
That'd be cool.
Maybe baseball, soccer, a spinoff soon at some point. And I think that'd be really interesting. I think especially when you go to smaller sports and you talk about recruiting and stuff like that and the process that got him to Tennessee, I think that'd be very interesting to hear.
Yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
So we mentioned all that. Go check that out. It's put on by VFL Films. We're going to talk about the players who we would like to see. So far, it's just been Henry To'oTo'o and Trey Smith on there. We're going to talk about the players that we would like to see. And tell us who you'd like to see, past, present, potentially future. You've got some guys that haven't been on campus yet. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'd like to hear from. See what they're all about. And I think this is a great way to grow. We just talked about that NCAA likeness stuff. You're growing your brand. Yeah. And this is going to be another great way for these guys to grow their brands. And I think it gives Tennessee a leg up in recruiting and pitching because you're going, this is our brand. So this is how people in households will know your name. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great. So we're talking about the Slice. Who would you like to see on there? Number one,
mine is current cornerback, and that's Alontae Taylor. He's part of that Vol Leaders group. Okay. I think he would have a lot of interesting maybe stories with that, and he's an in-state kid, so I think Alontae Taylor would be a good one to have on. I'm sure he will in the future, right? But yeah.
I've got one, and this is a past player, former or current coach. That's T. Martin. Okay. I think get a guy like T. Martin who was here when and I know it's for the players now, but get a guy like that on, and if you're talking about help at recruiting, talk about why he came to Tennessee. I'm sure he's pitching that when he goes. Yep. But why he went to Tennessee, what his time here in '98 was like in depth, and then how he's trying to make Tennessee better now. And I think that would resonate, especially for guys who maybe already you're sitting here saying I want to coach one day. I think that could resonate a lot for him, and it also I like learning about these guys. You know, you spend 4 years plus investing in these guys. It's always nice to hear personally why they love Tennessee or why they came back to Tennessee, stuff like that. So,
yeah,
T. Martin's someone I'd love to see on a podcast like that.
My next one, and it'd be interesting to hear both sides, and it's Cade Mays, a guy that was committed to Tennessee, local kid at Knoxville Catholic. Coaching change, Tennessee was on the downfall, and he goes to Georgia, but finds his way back to Tennessee. I feel like that'd be an interesting story, and maybe gives a little bit of depth in the whole finger.
Yeah, I don't know if he can talk about that. So
maybe not.
We may not learn too much about it, but
I guess get him eligible, and then we can talk.
Yeah, get him eligible first before we risk that. My next one, Brandon Kennedy.
Yeah,
I want to hear about him. I want to hear his story. Seems like a guy that's going to leave, and we're going to appreciate how much time he committed to Rocky Top, and his story is a little interesting. Not only being a transfer from a rival, but then also sticking it out after injuries. Kind of seemed like maybe this wasn't going to happen, and now has kind of become an anchor of the offensive line.
Really sucks that his first play.
Yeah.
Or I guess first game. It was in the first half, but yeah, he just went down.
Yeah,
and that was kind of it.
Yep.
For that season, but we got him another year, and he's going to be a part of one of the best lines in college football.
Yeah, and he's a big part of it too.
Yeah. My next one would be Kavaris Crouch.
Okay.
I think he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be fun to have on there. I'd like to see kind of his stories about recruiting and Niedermeyer and stuff like that. I think that'd be cool to listen to. So Kavaris Crouch would be my next one.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go with a fan favorite. Probably cheating a little bit. It was probably a given. Juwan Jennings, get that man on there.
Yeah.
Get the man on there. Let him talk about it. I think his story, though, would be really great to tell. Maybe need a not suitable for work, warning, because he...
explicit.
You never know, man. He's a dog. He's emotion. He's got a ton of emotion, and all that, most of that for the Tennessee Volunteers. So.
Yeah. That's all I got. Stupidity's an epidemic.
Oh, Stupidity. Yeah, Stupidity.
I was thinking about it today. Dude, what's his name? Who was the interim after Butch?
After Butch, it was dude from Michigan.
Yeah, I can see his face.
All caps.
Yeah.
Hoke.
Brady Hoke, yeah. Brady Hoke actually thought he had a chance to be the head coach. He actually thought people wanted him to
Brady
be
Hoke might have had a chance for...
If John Curry was
John
still
Curry,
in
yeah.
charge of it.
So I don't know if this isn't stupidity. I want to read off this insane stat, and we'll call it stupid just because it involves John Calipari. Will you allow it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is just a crazy stat. So John Calipari has coached in college for 26 years, and he's produced 33 first-round picks, and somehow Earl Barron is his only player to win an NBA title, and he had 0 playoff minutes for the 06 Heat.
Wow.
So
That's
none
of
of John Calipari's first-round draft picks have won NBA titles, besides Earl Barron, who didn't even play.
How did none of them even get even if they didn't even play? How did they?
Right.
How did none
Earl
of them?
Barron, yeah, I don't understand. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Wild.
My first one is Georgia football. I'm kind of on Georgia today.
Yeah, you are a little bit on Georgia.
I'm not a fan. He says, or Georgia football says, a long line of quarterback greats developed here and NFL ready. Georgia's tied for the third most quarterbacks drafted since 2001. Can you
read that? Hold on. Say the exact
long line of quarterback greats developed here and NFL ready. Georgia's tied for the third most quarterbacks drafted since 2001.
That's insane. So am I?
It's Daniel Green, Quincy Carter, Aaron Murray, DJ Shockley, Matt Stafford, and Jake Fromm. That's a terrible group. Matt Stafford's the best one.
Matt Stafford's the best one, and he's played on a terrible team.
Yeah, so it's...
Yeah, I don't know if I'm showing those guys off
necessarily. Right, you're developed here and ready. You're showing that you developed them. Ugh, that's bad.
Yeah, I think I'm only showing Matt Stafford off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Don't know if I do anything.
You got any more?
I've got one more. It is going to go to Danny Cannell, I believe. Is
Oh,
who tweeted
yeah.
this. And it's along the lines of compensating any NCAA players. And he said, I hate to rain on everyone's parade, but those thinking college football is coming back to EA Sports are sadly mistaken. It's not. They have to pay college athletes. It's not a moneymaker. Wish I was wrong. Buddy, that game will make money anywhere, any planet, any time of the year, anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Dude, is Danny Cannell does he just get paid to be a freaking moron?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. That game makes money, just like Madden, just like FIFA. It makes money. Plus, they're not going to have to pay him as much as they play the NFL players. If I have to explain that to you, then you're just never going to understand. So, I think they pay each individual player on Madden $15,000. It's probably going to be a lot less than that. And a lot of people brought up how there was an NFL Players Association that negotiated that. And yes, they're not going to negotiate it with each individual NCAA football player. They're going to walk in with like $3,000 cash and be like, "That's your offer. Yeah, we're going to take you out of the game."
So dumb.
Because you know what? An NCAA player, like one player, won't sell the game. Like Madden, where you want those players, almost need those players on there.
Yeah.
NCAA is not like that.
Nope. I mean, they made it for years. Yeah.
You just need the teams. That's it.
That's it. Danny Cannell, he's actually one of mine too because he's a friggin' moron. He says it's no surprise the SEC is dominating the draft and have for the past decade. They buy the best players. College football is an arms race. When you can outspend everyone else, it creates the imbalance. Big prob for ACC, Big 12, and Pac 12. Only Big 10 can come close. What?
Yeah, that doesn't.
They dominate like it's the best football. It's physically it's fact that the South is the best football, and so they go to SEC schools.
Yeah, it's not hard to figure out.
No,
it's not hard. I do want to mention that I'm sorry I've been away from YouTube, guys. I apologize. I miss a lot, but Bobby mentioned that Billy Ratliff is going to have T. Martin on because I talked about wanting him on the Slice podcast. He's going to be on Volunteer Roadshow soon, so make sure you keep up with that because Billy Ratliff's going to have T on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so make sure you pay attention, see when that's going to be, and I'm sure that'll be great.
So I have one more. So Mary Kate Costa, this is tough for me to read, but so it's the video of Daryl Taylor saying WGWTFA, and she was like 99.9% sure we lost this game, but we'll roll with it.
We didn't lose that game. Thankfully, I felt like we were going to. It was that year, but we didn't.
Come on.
We didn't lose it.
Like, do a little bit of, like, it says Battle of Bristol on this freaking jersey.
Come on, man. Oh, my God. That was such a fun year. Golly. Can we play some I'll Go Back by Kenny Chesney real quick?
We should.
I'll go back. It's actually about that 2016 football season. I do. Unfortunately, I'm so young that's like one of the best years I remember. So
I'm pretty sure Kenny Chesney was actually a Virginia Tech fan for that game.
Probably. He had both hats in the nice suite he sat in. Yeah. So ready to go.
Definitely.
I'm only kind of kidding, Kenny. If you want to come on this podcast and discuss, we welcome.
Yeah, we would love to hear what your fandom is actually about.
I can tell you what his fandom's about. It's green. He's only loyal to one thing, and I don't entirely blame him. I mean, I do because I know I'm a Tennessee guy, but
yeah.
But Kenny, if you'd like to come on, we'll let you be a Tennessee fan if you want to sit between us and talk. So just let us know. I know you're listening to this, so just call me when you want to, and we'll take care of that and set it up.
We can't show him the green though. We can't compensate him whatsoever.
No, cannot show you the green. Landon, you got a Hound Dogs winner for us?
I do. Let me find that.
So make sure you guys go enter. You can go to volunteerroadshow.com. You can sign up for a profile. It's fast. It's easy. It's free. Sign up for it. You can get some. You can get access to some of our exclusive content from our team of writers and some of our other shows. So make sure you go check that out, and you'll be signed up for each and every week for a drawing to get a $25 gift card to Hound Dogs. And Landon's going to tell you who our winner for tonight is.
Our winner is Matthew Mills.
Woo! Congrats,
Matthew.
Go email, get that gift card.
Yeah, so email BobbyC@volunteerroadshow.com or Billy Ratliff at volunteerroadshow.com to claim your prize within a week, and claim that and $25.
$25, man. Do it.
All you got to do is listen to us for a little bit.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
Could be worse. Could be Danny Cannell.
Could be Danny Cannell. Could be. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back Sunday night with a 98 rewatch and another full show for you guys. Hopefully talking about the next recruit that Moose has brought home. That's the plan. Maybe he'll just hop on the rack or something. I don't know. Yeah. Wherever there's a seat. There's not many seats, so you better hop on now.
Yeah, maybe another hat trick. What's 2 hat tricks? Can we get a hat trick of a hat trick?
A hat trick of a hat trick, I think, would be 9. No?
That would be 9.
It would be 9. You can get 3 hat tricks.
Yeah. So what is that? Is that the...
I think 2 hat tricks is just a double hat trick.
So we want a triple hat trick.
Yeah, we want a hat trick of a hat trick.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
By next... Would that be enough time? By next Wednesday? Next time we're on? Or a week from now?
Maybe.
You got a week, Moose, to get this figured out.
Yeah, Matthew Mills, you got a week to claim your prize. We got a week to get 6 other prospects in here.
Exactly.
That's all we got. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.